This is a really exciting conversation, and we don't want to waste any more time. Just getting right into it. I am Sam Z, one of your community managers.
And I'm Sarah G, one of your other community managers, and we have Taylor Lagoy joining us in the chat. Sam, today is a special day.
It sure is. The Circle Live Design Trends show is now in its third year, and we have some special guests coming up to our digital stage to talk about these trends, how we determined them, and how you can use them in your designs. But first, as with tradition, let's find out what our designs are. Sarah, you ready for this?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Let's take this little quiz. This is a quiz that everybody can take. So, first question on this quiz, Sarah, is my design sensibility can be described as whimsical or polished.
For me.
For you.
Polished.
Polished. There we go. Sarah, what is your dream job?
Creative director at a sleek, glassy magazine.
Okay, here we go. And what's your attitude toward copy and typography?
I'm going to have to say words are secondary to other site elements.
Oh, boy. I somehow could have predicted that. I don't know. Hand-drawn animation is charming, best on paper, not pixels.
I'll say charming.
Your design trend is sketchbook.
This has got to be the most unexpected part of this year's design trends for me. I have to be honest, I really thought I was going to get some other results, and it's cool when a quiz knows you better than you know yourself. All right, is your turn?
All right, I'm going to retake the quiz. Yeah, sometimes you learn a little bit about yourself along the way. So I would say that I'm pretty whimsical. I love bringing inspiration from nature into the digital realm. I would say that I do. Yeah, I would say I do. Anthropomorphism is a fun word to be able to say. Adding human-like features to inanimate objects in web design is cute or not for me. I'm not necessarily sure I think it's so cute. My design trend is organic matter. Bring a sense of natural serenity to your designs in 2025 with organic matter, a flora and fauna inspired design. So interesting.
Have you gotten that one before? That was your first time?
That was absolutely my first time getting that. As you can imagine, having been part of the team that created this, I have taken this design trend quiz a few times. So you, as we say on the content team, you may have a design trend sun, but you also may have a moon and a rising. So I feel like I might be organic sun, but maybe sketchbook rising, and visual smiles moon. But you can go through the full quiz to see which design trend you are, and at the end of the taking the quiz, you can download the story-sized image and share on your social media. If you're into that kind of a thing. Taylor is going to share the link in the chat right now to take the quiz. And at any time today, you can share which trend you are in the chat. You can go through the quiz to find out, or if you want to just go on vibes, that is totally okay. But for right now, I'm going to share my screen again, and we are going to play, as is also tradition with Circle Live, we're going to play just a little message for all of you folks. If you build websites for a living, full or part-time, a solid online presence is the foundation of your business. We also know sometimes it's easy to get caught up building client sites and let your own fall to the wayside. That's why we created Adri, a new website template created specifically with web designers in mind. The Adri template is designed as a starting point to help designers like you save time by making it quick to launch your own portfolio site. This new template helps clients discover your business, learn about your services, and get in touch to start working with you. Adri also comes with sections for client testimonials, case studies, and an Acuity scheduling block for appointment booking. Whether you're looking to launch a new portfolio or refresh your existing one, check out Adri on the Squarespace Template Store. Okay, so first we want to get the full story. I guess before we go into that, let's see what kind of comments we have. Is there any pattern here with people? I know Christy just got just my type. Anything you're seeing in the chat?
Tanya got sketchbook just like me. Apparently, Riley says sketchbook rising. In the priority of Sun Moon Rising, is Rising top or is which one's your main one?
The Sun is your main one, I believe.
Then I am also a sketchbook rising. Riley, I refuse to identify as a sketchbook sun. Who else? Yeah, a lot of people are taking it and it's coming through and we're all different. And I feel like that's what makes the community so special.
That's what we love about this community. Everybody's got a variety of design trends that they are and their personalities. So because we're so excited about these design trends, I think it's a good time for us to get the full story behind these trends. So let's bring up our first guest, the Squarespace senior brand designer, Dorian Dreyfuss. Dorian, if you just share your audio and video with us, we'd love to start gabbing with you. Dorian, welcome to Circle Live. So great to have you.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Circle members may recognize Dorian as the designer behind the Circle Day 2024 branding. Perhaps remember that lovely violet or the power-up slider from the website. I definitely played with that slider a lot. Sometimes when I was bored during the day, not that I was ever bored, but if I needed an extra minute to clear my brain, I would just click that slider on and off. Really masterful work there.
We love an interactive moment.
We're glad to have you here today. Dorian, just curious, what brand designs have you been working on since Circle Day? Just give us a little taste.
Brand designs at Squarespace. What have I been doing? Well, honestly, this project has taken up a lot of the past few months. So yeah, I feel like this has been the main thing, just like really fun working with It's Nice That team and building out these templates together. But yeah, I think that was it since Circle Day. Circle Day was also a journey.
and we're so excited to have you here on this journey for us to talk to you a little bit more about the design trends. Let's talk a little bit about these design trends. How did you and your team decide on these 5?
So I feel like it kind of these trends came through in so many different ways. This year we decided to team up with It's Nice That, which for those who don't know, I'm really glad that you all know now, because It's Nice That is an editorial platform where you can keep up with what creatives are creating around the world, intriguing projects, and it's just such a great resource for inspiration. So working together with them, we kind of came up with these 5 trends just based off of what interesting creators are creating this past year, things that we expect us to kind of be more drawn to in the coming years. So a lot of it has been focused on like louder colors, straying away from this like minimalist approach that we see in so many mainstream brands, and then just getting back into like the human touch in a bunch of different ways. So It's Nice That really helped us kind of find these creators to visually display these different trends for the templates and for everyone.
That is, I think, the power of having so many great creative minds at Squarespace to be able to work with other creative minds, and all just this creativity melding together is really delightful to see.
Yeah, and then this year, each one of these design trends came with their very own templates, so you can start thinking about the practical applications for each of these design trends. To bring that practical perspective, we are so happy to bring onto the show for the very first time the co-hosts of the Pour Me a Nerdy Martini Instagram show, who collectively have designed countless Squarespace templates and websites, Dreyah Bohlen and Jen Maher.
Jen and Dreyah, you can turn on audio and video and join us on the stage. Hi, Jen.
Hi. Hey, guys.
Hi, Dreyah.
Dreyah, welcome to Circle Live. Jen, welcome to Circle Live.
So to start, Dorian, Jen, and Dreyah, let's explore these trends. The first one here, let me share my screen so people can have a visual look at what we're looking at here. The first trend is organic matter. And I'm going to go off the, it's in collaboration with the illustrator Tom Bingham. Here's an excerpt from the description. The organic matter trend reflects a deep yearning to reconnect with nature, blending earthy elements with modern creativity, a departure from 2024's hybrid reality trend. Organic matter signals a mix of digital design with natural elements. Dorian, as a member of the creative world, how do you see this longing for nature in the outdoors reflected in brand design?
Well, I think that this template is such a good example of how we can kind of merge the natural world with the digital world, and just like kind of implement things that we see all around us into our web designs or our brands. I think leaning on, more organic shapes is a great way to kind of translate that onto your website. Or Tom is a really talented illustrator, and a lot of his illustrations have to do with the natural world and bringing in so much like nature into this very AI technology centered world that we're living in right now. So I think like finding your own creative ways to implement nature, maybe if it's through illustration, maybe if it's through scanning different leaves or things you find out there. Maybe it's through photography and just like playing with that. There's some moments on the website where we take images from nature and then we apply a bitmap kind of texture to it. So I think like layering, playing with those natural moments can really bring out, this trend of organic matter into brand design throughout the year. I think it's like personally, I'd like a relief to see kind of nature being brought back in more when everything is so, Chrome centric and tech and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah.
What a great word, relief. I do find that it's a relief, a relief sometimes looking at, even just looking out a window, and when I'm working on my computer all day, seeing something out there that's natural and then going back to my computer. So if you can incorporate that into your design, maybe you get some of that relief as well. So that's the theory behind it. Let's turn on some thinking, more practical thinking around this. Jen and Dreyah, I'm going to turn to you. Dreyah, let's start with you. What kinds of clients would you envision the organic matter trend being useful for?
Yeah, so I actually have a lot of interior design clients that like to bring organic matter elements into websites. Just through like home decor and everything like that, I feel like bringing in neutral colors and palettes and textiles and stuff into the home is like a huge trend right now, especially like with the wood and different types of countertop, just little things like that. So I'd say interior designers, home decor for e-commerce, like things like that.
And Jen, anything to add for your clients and thinking about organic matter?
Yeah, absolutely. So I also saw a lot of people talking about seeing examples. I think that I definitely have a page on my website already where I'm going to be putting a lot of the examples because I got really excited. But I think that this has been a trend that I feel like we've started to embrace a little bit, especially over the last year or two. And I love like what Dorian was saying about the relief, and we are all so like digitally focused. It's nice to have that calming nature for us. But obviously, like I have some clients that do retreats. It's been really easy to have them take their own videos or bring sand, like even taking a picture of the sand. And then I have one of my templates that I did that I actually used sand as the footer background just to kind of bring a little bit of that nature in. I have a client right now that that's all like her whole branding is organic matter. So a lot of the things that she's kind of drawn and the backgrounds that she's used have really made her brand in general. But I would also tell people, don't feel like if you aren't someone creating like digital merchandise to sell, or I'm sorry, like organic merchandise to sell, or if it doesn't feel like it's going to fit for you, you can still incorporate it. I have a client that was an accountant, and she happened to have her office in this like beautiful little area, and there were these gorgeous flower bushes. So we actually use that as like a section divider background, and it's just kind of a way to bring familiarity to her clients, so they kind of know this is the area that I'm going to. It sort of brings in like her actual experience of going to her office into the website too. So
that's lovely.
That's really, really beautiful and so creative, Jen. Okay, we're going to move on to the next trend, which is called Just My Type. And it was developed in collaboration with Jaslyn Fung, a designer based in Melbourne, Australia. Here's an excerpt from the description. In a world dominated by sleek, minimalist sans serifs, Just My Type celebrates a shift from the purely functional use of typography. The trend, identified by graphic and type designer Jaslyn Fung Hey Man, embraces a more expressive, character-driven approach where typography becomes a form of personal expression. And letter forms are more than just a vehicle for communication. Dorian, starting with you, can you explain how typeface can be used as a means of self-expression?
Yeah, I think something that's cool about this trend is that it's kind of lending more appreciation to people that really don't dive into typography too much in their day-to-day, to kind of understand that there's so much that goes into, like a serif curve or a customized typeface, or maybe getting experimental with your typeface. So I think that people should take from this trend kind of leaning into typography as a way to kind of showcase your aesthetic and your personality. I think that we can get really crazy with type, like even if you don't really know how to apply type, or you're not like in design, whatever. I think that kind of being more experimental with the typography that you choose, whether that be for your logo or just like as a communication vehicle, like on your website, like even though we were kind of saying that it strays away from being just a vehicle, I think that both visually and purposefully, it could be really cool for people to get more experimental, make the typography the main character on their website, as a way to like express themselves and showcase what their brand is all about.
Yeah, I love that. And I love seeing the trend that I've seen people doing of like combining two different fonts, even within a word or within just like a short phrase, to kind of like bring it more alive. Jen, kind of going over to you for that practical application. Have you ever had a client that wanted to use a typeface as kind of like the main way to demonstrate their brand?
Definitely. I think that that's a huge, especially if you have something, I feel like if you don't have a lot of assets, like you don't have a lot of photos that you're going to be bringing into your design, or if you're someone like, even for myself, I have a lot of things to say and people don't necessarily want to read everything that I have to say. So I sometimes will like try to emphasize certain words. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing when I was kind of reading this, well, first of all, Dreyah has an incredible example of this. One of her templates, like really, it's like the entire website actually showcases this font just comes out of nowhere and it's big and it's beautiful. And I love that because it captures your attention like right off the bat, and then it kind of encourages people to continue to explore the website. But I feel like some people might not know how to use that. There are plenty of ways, like having the scale tool with Squarespace has been just a game changer for us. We love it so much. Of course, you can still, upload just one font that you're going to use, like maybe on your H2 header, or there is a way to add a custom font. SquareKicker also lets you do that. But I feel like that's having those avenues where we can either use like SquareKicker or use Squarespace's scale tool, bring in some extra external fonts, has been a real game changer for a lot of our clients. I think they really love being able to kind of emphasize just certain parts or draw users in right from the beginning with type fonts. So
I love that. Dreyah, we'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, I would say, kind of going off what Jen said, if you don't have a lot of like imagery content or even like illustration or anything like that, just making the font be the design is a huge thing. I've had multiple clients that want to use several fonts, kind of like what Jen said, and we incorporate those together. But yeah, I think I feel like the trend is also really becoming more popular too. Like you've seen a lot of the bigger bubbly fonts like really becoming kind of a staple, especially with apparel and stuff like that. So yeah. I would say if you're in that industry, use the font and make it big.
Awesome.
And like anything else, use it sparingly. I mean, it's not something where you would have like 40 fonts on your website, and you're basically using it to emphasize something important or to kind of draw users in a certain area, but not have it be completely obnoxious.
For sure.
I get stressed out by fonts personally because I think there are just too many choices, and I often think with the designs that I do, that's like the last choice that I want to have to make. I mean, I almost like them too much because I spend too much time on them, but I need to just move on and accept one font throughout. Let's talk about Trend 3. I love the name of this one. This one is called Visual Smiles. I'm going to show this to you all visually. Visual Smiles. Yeah, so the name of this is so interesting. It was developed in collaboration with Martina Makes, a designer based in London. This is from the description. By weaving in fun, unexpected elements throughout it, be it clever illustrations, playful typography, or quirky imagery, you can build websites that are joyful and lighthearted with charming characters, playful copy, and warm, vibrant colors. You can create designs that resonate with visitors and leave smiles on their faces. Dorian, since you're managing template creation now as well, what practical applications do you see for this visual smiles in people's templates and designs?
Well, I think Squarespace provides so many fun UI tools to achieve this aesthetic and this trend. So something we really leaned into while building the template was shape blocks, scrolling blocks, scaling tools. So just like playing around with all these different features. And there's so many more things that I think people could apply, like motion, animated moments, maybe the wave tool with the scrolling block. Like there's so many fun things that Squarespace can offer to really push this trend further. And I think something that really grounds it, like overall, like anyone that kind of was trying to apply this trend, is a really fun color palette, and just making sure that the color palette really relays joy and happiness. And I think for this direction, we really wanted Martina's work to shine through the template. So just kind of leaning more into her color palette through her illustrations, and the way that she creates shapes and I don't know, blah, 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 like the geometry that she uses throughout her illustrations. Sorry, I keep saying blah, blah, blah.
There's so much you want to say. I get it.
I know, blah, 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 fill it in. But yeah, I think like color palette, fun shapes really help achieve this goal when applying it to a template.
Jen, you are Visual Smiles personified.
Yes.
Would you agree with that? I think that's
that was what I want, and I'm going to try really hard not to talk too much on this one because I have so much.
Well, talk. No, the floor is yours. What do you think about Visual Smiles?
I love it. Obviously, this is like for anyone that knows me, this is like right up my alley. So definitely colors, but I think that there's so many different ways that, and for me, it's all about bringing your personality into play here, and also kind of reading your audience and thinking about what your audience needs or wants or what's going to help benefit them, like coming into the website. So obviously, if you look at my website, it's pretty obnoxious. There's a lot of color, a lot of moving elements. I absolutely am obsessed with Square Kicker because it allows me to kind of do a lot of those really fun, impactful things. But you don't necessarily have to do anything like design-wise. One of the things that I did with one of my favorite websites I ever did was actually incorporating puns into the site. So they were a smoothie shop. I basically just went through and kind of did as many, like if you were a fruit, you'd be a pineapple, and like, hey, they like let the beat drop on their newsletter portion. So totally played with puns throughout the entire thing. Dreyah actually did a really punny website too. I actually put on my website for you guys to look at because he's a charcuterie board, I guess, artist, and we did a lot of puns on that website too, and that was really, really cool. But one of the things that I love to do that is a little unexpected is think about the different embeds, because I love that Squarespace lets us kind of pull in some of these other features. So we put I Spies on the back of websites sometimes. It's great for like restaurants. There's a puzzle explorer that you can go in and you can actually create your own puzzles. And this actually ties in like with that natural element that we were talking about earlier with organic. You could use different pictures of like nature, but you can kind of create a whole fun stuff page where people can go in and actually kind of play around, do a puzzle, do an I Spy, and also helps you with the SEO too, because they're staying on your site a little bit longer. It helps with dwell time, traffic. So yeah, I love anything with that. Spotify playlists. So I have a client right now that is selling online courses, fitness programs. And so we created a Spotify playlist page for hers so that while they're doing their workouts from home, they can go in and like listen to her specific playlist that they've done. So there's just so many ways to bring in your own personality, and it doesn't have to be as obnoxious as my website. It can be just, anything at all that kind of helps people have a better day, I think. So.
Dreyah, how do you help people have a better day through your designs?
Yeah, so I was actually Visual Smiles too, which didn't really surprise me. I really do like this trend too. I feel like it's a great way to express yourself in like I feel like your website is like your online personality that maybe you can't, like you probably can't, well, you probably could, but paint your entire house like bright pink or whatever you wanted to do. So I feel like having your website space be these bright colors and all of these different shapes and elements is super cool. I would say I have a couple of e-commerce clients that do Visual Smiles design trend. They make it friendly and inviting with all the bright colors and shapes and scrolling effects. So I would say that is, that's like one industry that I would suggest doing the Visual Smiles, and then also like education wise too. So like a Montessori and like the preschools and stuff like that, bring in all those fun, friendly, inviting elements into the site.
Awesome. All right. Going to go on to the next trend. Okay, so the next one is called Vivid Glow, and it was developed in collaboration with Martina Venjitska Obukovic. Incredible name. She is a designer that is based in Poland, and according to the description, Vivid Glow is bold and energetic. Vivid Glow represents a fresh approach to visual storytelling that refuses to blend in. However, it is far from a chaotic clash of unconsidered colors. Instead, Vivid Glow requires intention and skill to balance bold hues thoughtfully, crafting a look that's impactful yet cohesive. Dorian, when designing a brand, how do you balance bold hues with intention and skill using something like Vivid Glow?
I think one thing that people could maybe lean on is choosing like one or two bright colors and having that be the accent for the website. I think you could still achieve this Vivid Glow trend without having 8 different, bright colors like we kind of have on our site. But even though everything does look bright on the website, you kind of look into our color palette and we have these like darker purples and moments of breath that kind of give those louder moments like so much more power, I would say. So yeah, I think there's ways to capture people's attention through like with this trend through like minimal use of color, but applying it in a way that's thoughtful, maybe playing with the scale type, the type scale, could do that without making it overpowerful, overbearing. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I love the idea of having, maybe a section or two that's like really bright and then giving the eye time to breathe to really then like let it shine and take up a lot of space. Jen, you're pretty bold with your designs. How do you find that balance?
So this is another one that I got really excited about. So I actually created a template called Glow Stick, and it looks like a 1980s skating party. Like it is all very black website with all the colors. And that was I wanted to give people permission to see that if you want to go completely all out, you can, as long as you do it you do have to create some of that, whether we call it white space or negative space. I mean, it's obviously a black website, but kind of giving people's eyes a chance to sort of calm down for a minute before you bring in another element. But then when we found out that this was going to be one of the trends, it was really important for people to understand that you don't have to go all in. Like I've got this crazy template. I've got another one called Glitch that's also kind of crazy. It was really fun for me to create, but you can just add some small elements. So I actually did put that on my website as well, taking that same idea, but just having it be one color and actually using white for white space and really kind of helping people to add a taste of it. You don't have to go completely all in. You can still have the effect with just having a button or using Squarespace's like backgrounds, which was another thing I actually forgot to say. You guys, if you're looking for visual smiles or even for the glow elements, you can use the background tool and use the custom image uploader on Squarespace and do a lot. Pretty much every single trend that we're talking about today, you can bring a lot of fun and kind of incorporate that into your own website or designs by using the background art. So.
Cool. That's a great tip. Dre, your designs tend to lean more on earth tones. Is there ever a time that you'd want to go vivid glow?
Yes, I think so. Every now and then I'll feel the urge to make some merch. And I feel like it's a great way to highlight just something unique you're starting to offer, or I'm putting together a designer break book. So I did use a little bit of pop of like bright pink on that page.
Your favorite clients.
Yeah, and same with clients too. I think
clients you've done a lot with.
Kind of like the Just My Type thing, making one word like super bright, or adding like the effects to the buttons. Jen's glow stick template does a really good job of doing that. Adding it in just to draw emphasis to that particular part of your website or product or anything like that. That's kind of where I recommend throwing that in. And it's just a great way to throw in your favorite color, I feel like, too.
Awesome.
We are at our final design trend of the day. This has been a delightful conversation so far, but we've got one more design trend for you all. This one speaks deeply to Sarah's soul, but also to mine.
Unbeknownst to me.
Yeah, unbeknownst to you. Well, unbeknownst because you took the quiz. Sketchbook. I'm going to read from the description. It was developed in collaboration with Stephen Smith, a designer based in the UK. Quoting from the description, this trend focuses on the personality of an artist's hand. So give visitors a glimpse at your unfiltered creativity. Infuse hand-drawn elements, organic patterns, and vibrant colors into your web design projects. Elements like scratchy pencil marks, analog textures, and visible sketches create a deliberately DIY style and feels highly personal. I've used sketchbook style in some of my slide decks because of exactly this. You know, I want to give people an insight into the process that I'm going through. I like the texture that it provides, the variety. And to be honest, it saves me so much time not having to choose a font. So, Dorian, what's the reason that you would want to show the personality of an artist's hand in a brand design?
What is the reason why I would want to show an artist's hand? I think it depends on who this person is. I think if a lot of their aesthetic is very hands-on, and they like to work with their hands a lot, I think like the fun thing about this brand is that this trend is that we're really leaning into, like straying away from the perfect line or the perfect geometric shape, just like really making it more rough, leaning into more collages. So I think like it depends on the kind of person that you're representing. If this person is like all about the grunge, or for this trend, we created a newsletter. So this is like a newsletter about artists or ways that artists are applying their work. So I feel like I strayed away a little bit, but it's a tough question. I think it really depends on the person that you're trying to represent, the feeling that you're trying to convey. I think this trend does allow for a lot of feeling and a lot of, similarly to organic matter, like the humanist touch to it. So another moment of like relief and straying away from technology. So I think it depends like what your client or what you're trying to portray about yourself through your website. I think
definitely it does require a bit of introspection. Dreyah, when for you is the right time to show the artist's hand?
Yeah, so I'm like, my wheels are turning right now, and I might have to go make a template after this for Sketchbook. Just because I'm thinking about architecture, interior design, like that industry. Just because I know when working with an architect or a home builder or anything like that. I want to see their process, like what goes through their mind as they're building these home layouts and stuff like that. So incorporating those drawings, I think would be a really cool way to kind of show a home on paper and then a home after it's built. So I would say for 2025, any architects or home builders, construction, interior design, let's see the process from, the personal touch, the hand-drawn thing to the finished product. I think that would be a really cool website. So now I'm kind of excited to maybe go design that today.
Jen, additional thoughts on when to show the sketchiness?
This one was kind of an interesting one for me because, I originally immediately thought of a client that I have named Erica, she is an artist, and she sells merchandise through Printful with her own designs on it. And we tried to make sure that we incorporated some of her actual hand drawings into the elements throughout the website so that it kind of brought that personality, made her backgrounds. So I was kind of like tunnel vision thinking about that and thinking of myself, how I'm not artistically, I'm not athletically, I'm not going to do anything that's going to blow your mind, whether it be artistically or athletically. But I started thinking about, I have another client that she just loved to doodle, and her doodles were just really cute. And so we put those on her, like more of her about page, and just kind of a window into her soul, I guess. And that could be something that if you want to sort of incorporate this and don't really want to go for it, like it's not what you do for a living, you don't feel like you have, the opportunity to create something grandiose and amazing. You could even just put your own little kind of musings or thoughts or, poetry, or your own art is your own art. And that's one thing that I've kind of discovered over the past year. I do a lot of really crazy, messy, Mod Podge type art. And that, when I was looking at this kind of template, thinking that could be something really good to incorporate on my about page, just to have those elements in there so that people see like the human, messy side of me too. And it also made me think of like David Lee talking about, was it last year's Circle Day? So 2023, the first thing that popped into my head is everyone's so afraid of AI and this digital age and like it taking over. And this is a really, really good example of what he was saying, that like people they're craving that human touch. They're craving that, like anything made with human hands. And I think that's, this is a fantastic example of that. So don't be afraid to incorporate those pieces.
And also like major props to the people that can draw. I wish I could.
Or even if you can't. I would encourage anybody to experiment with Sketchbook, even if you think you can't draw, because that's kind of the point, isn't it? To put something down, see how it looks, and show maybe some of your weaknesses in addition to your strengths, mixing the weaknesses and the strengths. I really appreciate seeing that when I'm looking at designs personally, but maybe that's just me and Sarah. These are the trends of the year: organic matter, just my type, visual smiles, vivid glow, and Sketchbook. Audience, we want you to join the conversation. We started a little bit late, so we can maybe go over a bit, but we want to hear a little bit from you. What are some questions that you have about using these in your branding? Is there a client that you think could sell on one of these templates? Or maybe do you think you have another trend that you'd like to add to the list? You can join our conversation by putting your questions in the chat. I know some of you have already done that. We will be right back with these folks to have a conversation with your questions in the chat right after this message.
Whether you're dreaming of starting your own business freelancing or expanding your skills, now's a great time to become a web designer. Our How to Become a Web Designer course will teach you everything you need to know with top tips from Squarespace Circle members, pros who have built successful careers using Squarespace. Each lesson is packed with actionable advice, proven strategies, and assignments designed to deepen your knowledge of the Squarespace platform and its most popular features. Whether you're just starting out or you're looking to level up, you'll be guided by experts from Squarespace's premier partner program, Circle members who know what it takes to succeed. With practical tips and hands-on learning, you'll build the skills you need to create stunning websites for clients in no time. We can't wait to see what you create.
All right, we are back. Sarah, do we have some questions from chat?
Yes, we do have some questions from the chat. All right, first question is, has anyone had luck implementing 3D designs or anything that really feels like it's like bringing the page to life? Jen, Dreyah, we can start with either of you if you have thoughts on this.
It's a tough one. I'm trying to go through all of my examples and think of, I guess, depending on what kind of art it is. And I'm also completely brain dead right now thinking about, I do have an example of a client in Australia that they do like 3D mock-ups of their, of basically home plans, which I think are fantastic. So I can try to kind of dig that up and share that, and maybe also marinate on this question a little bit longer, because I'm sure that there are examples. I'm going to wake up at like 3 a.m. and be like, oh yeah, this website and this website and this website.
Yeah, I know this is really hard. I did have a client who did 3D art, and that was a very interesting website to build just because I haven't really done one. But what we ended up doing was removing the background on his art piece so that it almost looked like it was coming out of the screen. And then also doing a gallery so that people could turn and look around the 3D piece. So that's like my example that I have, but yeah, that's a hard one.
Video. I wonder even about doing like scroll effects. Like if you incorporate Square Kicker into it and do like scroll effects where it's actually like growing as you come into it, that might be a way kind of to unique spin on it. So
love that. We have another question, which is, when you get your clients branding, maybe they come in with branding, they have a logo, they have colors, you're building a site for them. How do you think about keeping a site both timeless and like representative of their brand, while also thinking about what's trendy or kind of like how to make it seem like modern and current for the year that we're in?
Do you want to start?
I feel like I'm bad at this just because, like, personally, I change my websites often just because I feel like trends do change and your personality changes and your business sometimes has to evolve and change. So I personally don't think there's anything wrong with changing it. Brand colors and everything like that, I think should stay the same, just so that you kind of get that brand awareness. So people, when they see your logo or your colors, are like, oh, that's so-and-so. But as for a website, I feel, which is what I actually just did with mine, I went very basic. So I'm like, I'm going to change my pictures, and then all my colors are going to change, and then all the everything else on there is probably going to change. So I just went super white background, and then it added pops of my favorite colors right now. And then as my imagery changes, then some elements of my website will probably change too. So
I think that's important. Like with a lot of the clients that Dreyah and I work with also may be a little bit different than other website designers. So I feel like we work, especially since we work through the expert program, we have a lot of brand new brands. So one of the things that I always try to tell people is like, perfect is the enemy of done. And that's one of the reasons why I promote Squarespace so much, is because it is so easy to evolve and adapt and change. Like your website, your business is going to change. Don't feel like you're locked into like, I have to have this brand, this is it forever and ever and ever. I think we try to do enough brainstorming in the beginning to get something that is timeless, but then allow them the freedom to kind of have a little bit of expression and change it. It shouldn't be, and I am guilty of this. I actually have had like 7 major changes on my brand because that's just who I am. But I feel like if you do it the right way, you can kind of come in and make subtle changes to be trendy, and not completely throw your clients off. Like who is this person now and why did they change? And so
cool. We have time for one more, Sam. Last one. Okay, last question. Which of these trends do you think are the easiest or would be the most fun to combine? Dreyah, we can start with you.
I think the visual smiles and vivid glow would probably be the easiest to combine. Just with neon colors and the visual smiles trend would be fun, or with scrolling effects, stuff like that. Yeah, I would say those two probably.
Cool. What about you, Jen?
Yeah, I'm like looking through. I had a lot of fun actually doing, even though Sketchbook was like the one that I was the least excited, like confident in talking about. I actually had a really good time creating a template that was very Sketchbook. It kind of was playing off of the Mean Girls movie. So it did have like a lot of that. I felt, to me, it was like complete visual smiles, but it had a lot of like the big pops of color and that kind of Sketchbook quality. So I think all of these, though, that was one thing that was kind of blowing my mind as I was looking at, they all kind of go together and they all sort of bring joy to the digital world in one way or another. And it also, on kind of a little closing note, at least for me, you guys should all Google search. There's an article that we stumbled upon. Actually, a client of mine told me about it a couple of years ago because she said it reminded me of me, I guess. But it's an article called The Age of Average by Alex Morel. You can just Google search it, it'll pop right up. But it's a really interesting look at like how we've been stuck in the age of average for so long. And I feel like these trends are all kind of a way to level up and get out of that and bring some unexpected elements. So it's hard. I think they could all kind of combine together and make some fantastic things.
That's awesome. Dorian, do you want to tell us which trends you would be excited to combine?
I feel like there are a few pairings that I can kind of think of. One I think that sounds really exciting is Vivid Glow and Just My Type. You know, I think we can like go really hard with the typography with Vivid Glow, kind of to enhance that message of like, I don't know, grabbing your attention through these colors, but also grabbing your attention through the typography itself. And then I also think Sketchbook and Organic Matter could be really cool together, just like really diving into that human touch, really just going crazy with it, kind of like the burn book that like you mentioned, Jen. Love that. And yeah, just like bringing in the human touch, I think that has gained so much value in the past couple of years, as we've discussed a ton. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what people create after seeing these trends. Let's make these predictions true.
Definitely. Follow the links that are in the chat right now to the 2025 Design Trends blog post. You'll see some awesome videos there. You'll see plenty of examples of using these. You can also take the quiz if you haven't done that already. But we're at the end of this thrilling conversation. I want to thank all three of our guests. You all have been stellar to collaborate with on this conversation, to talk about these trends. It has been so great hearing your insights about this. Dorian, these trends, thank you so much for having these trends come together so vibrantly and bringing them to our audience. Dorian, we will see you around the office.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for having me, guys. This was so fun.
Our pleasure. And Jen and Dreyah, thank you so much both for bringing your visual smiles, attitude, energy, insights to Circle Live. We loved having you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Cool. We'll see you guys soon.
You can watch the Nerdy Martini interview series on Jen and Dreyah's Instagram accounts, by the way. So that's all for today's show. Thank you for joining us live. And we will be back with Circle Live on January 29th with a conversation about the state of the web design industry report, which if you're a Circle member, you remember that launching last year. It's going to be an exciting time to be released. So we'll be there to talk to you about it as well as release it. Until next Circle Live, I'm Sam Z.
And I'm Sarah G.
Wishing you a Happy New Year. Go get trending.
Bye, everybody.